I shouldn't have heard her scream. There was no one for miles. Just me, my truck, and the wind. But I did. A faint, desperate sound swallowed by the blizzard. Almost like a whisper. I slammed on the brakes. My tires skidded, heart racing, palms sweating. No way. That couldn't have been a person. Not up here. I killed the engine and opened the door. The wind punched me in the face like a wall of ice. Visibility? Maybe 10 feet. Maybe less. But I heard it again. A muffled cry. Sharp. Terrified. Help. Please. My breath caught. Someone was out there. In this hell. And they were dying. I had come up to the Rockies for one reason, peace. My name's Adam. 34. Divorced. Burned out. I needed to clear my head. A week in the mountains with nothing but whiskey, snow, and silence. That was the plan. I rented a remote cabin near Estes Park. Middle of nowhere. No cell reception. Just the way I wanted it. The first 3 days? Perfect. But that morning, the storm hit. Hard. I was driving back from a supply run, white-knuckling the wheel, when I heard her. And everything changed. I grabbed my flashlight, pulled up my coat hood, and stepped into the blizzard. The snow was knee-deep. Wind was howling like it wanted to tear the skin off my face. But I followed the voice. Over here. God, she sounded close.
Turning back.
Panicked. I shouted back. I hear you. Keep yelling. Please. I'm trapped. I scanned the snowbanks. Everything looked the same. Just white, endless white. But then, a glove. Half buried in snow. Pale pink. A woman's glove. I fell to my knees and started digging. My fingers went numb instantly. I didn't care. Hold on. I got you. She screamed again, this time louder, clearer. My hands hit something soft. A jacket. Then hair. Then her face. Eyes wide. Lips blue. She was buried under nearly 3 feet of snow. Alive. But barely. She was shaking like crazy. Skin ice cold. Her eyes rolled back for a second, and I thought, God, no, please don't die now. Hey, stay with me. I yelled, tapping her cheek. You're gonna be okay, I got you. She tried to speak, but her lips barely moved. Just a whisper. Can't move? Her legs were pinned. I dug faster, hands burning from the cold. My nails cracked, bleeding. I didn't care. I was running on pure adrenaline. After what felt like forever, I freed her torso. Her arms clung to me, weak, trembling. She looked at me like I was the last thing she'd ever see. Don't let me die out here, she begged. I won't, I said. I swear. I scooped her up, she was light, too light, and carried her back to my truck. Every step was a fight. Snow tried to suck me in, then tried to throw me off balance. But I didn't stop. I kicked the truck door open with my boot and slid her into the passenger seat. Slammed the door shut, turned the heat to max. Her body convulsed from the shock. Her teeth chattered so hard I thought they might break. Name, I said, grabbing a blanket from the back. Tell me your name. She looked at me, eyes glassy, pupils barely responding. Maya. Okay, Maya. I'm Adam. You're safe now. You hear me? She gave a weak nod, then passed out. The snow was getting worse. The road behind me was already gone. I couldn't turn around, and the cabin was still 10 miles up. I had no choice. I drove. Slowly, carefully, praying the truck wouldn't stall. Maya didn't move. She just breathed shallow, raspy. Halfway up, I lost the road completely. Everything vanished under a thick, white sheet. No lines, no markers. Just the blur of headlights and the sound of my own heartbeat. But I kept going, because she would have died out there. And maybe I wasn't ready to let anyone else die. I made it to the cabin. Barely. Got her inside, stripped off her wet clothes, wrapped her in every blanket I had. She looked like a ghost. Her lips purple, skin white as the snow outside. I lit the fireplace and sat beside her all night, feeding her sips of water, watching for signs of frostbite. At 3 a.m., she opened her eyes. Why did you come looking for me? She asked. Voice wrong. I told her the truth. I didn't. I just heard you. She stared at me, like that didn't make sense. But it happened. And now I was stuck in a cabin with a stranger who almost died in my arms. And I hadn't even begun to ask the real question. What the hell was she doing out there alone? The storm raged for 2 more days. We were completely cut off. No cell service. No way out. Just a crackling fire, melting snow for water, and the sound of the wind screaming like a beast outside. Maya barely spoke the first day. Just slept, shivered, and whispered thanks when I handed her soup. But I watched her. She wasn't just scared. She was haunted. Eyes darting to the windows, flinching at every gust of wind. Like she expected something or someone to break in at any moment. On the second night,
always
I
said,
caught her staring at the door,
patience.
wide-eyed. "You okay?" I asked. She didn't answer, just whispered, "You locked it, right?" "Yeah." "Why?" She looked at the fire for a long time, then finally said, "I didn't get lost." I froze. "What?" "I didn't get lost in the storm," she repeated. "I was running." She told me everything in a low, shaking voice. She'd come up to the mountains with her boyfriend, Kyle. Been dating him 6 months. Seemed like a dream guy, handsome, charming, spontaneous.
Should have brought a
Until
cart.
they got to the lodge. That's when things changed. He got weird, she said. Possessive. Controlling. Like he owned me. The first night, he checked her phone. The second, he snapped because she said hi to the bartender. On the third, he hit her. Hard. She showed me the bruise on her arm. Faint, yellowing, but still there. I waited until he passed out drunk, she whispered. Then I grabbed my coat and ran. No phone. No map. I didn't care. I just wanted out. She had no idea how far she went before the storm swallowed her. She got turned around, fell down a slope, and landed in that snowbank. Buried alive. If you hadn't heard me, she didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. I sat in silence for a long time
Snow
after
chill.
that.
It just-
Kyle was still out there. Probably looking for her. Maybe even blaming her. Or worse, telling people she ran off. That she was crazy. I'd met guys like him before. Back when I was a cop. Guys who smiled in public and turned into monsters behind closed doors. And now I had his girlfriend hiding in my cabin. In the middle of nowhere. And I couldn't shake the feeling. That he was coming. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak of the cabin felt louder. Every gust of wind sounded like footsteps. I checked the locks 3 times. Double barricaded the front door with a chair. Just in case. Maya slept on the couch by the fire, wrapped in 3 blankets, face pale, breathing soft. Around 2 a.m., I sat at the table with a cup of coffee, staring out into the darkness. My old instincts kicked in, cop instincts. If I were Kyle, where would I go? If she ran from the lodge, he'd report her missing.
A corruptor.
But would he search? Or hunt? There's a difference. And the way she talked about him, cold rage behind the charm, I knew. This wasn't over. Morning came. The storm died down. A soft, eerie calm. The kind of silence that means something's coming. I went out to clear a path to the shed. That's when I saw it. Tire tracks. Fresh. Heading toward the woods behind the cabin. They hadn't been there yesterday. My stomach dropped. I followed them. Maybe 200 yards in. And stopped. Boot prints. Leading to a tree line. Then circling back. Watching. I turned slowly. Every instinct in my body screaming, "You're being hunted." I headed back fast. Locked the door. Checked the windows.
Turn back, girl.
Maya was up,
These
sitting near the
machines
fire. Her hands shook when I told her. "You think it's him?" she asked. "I don't think," I said. "I know. We had 2 choices. Stay and wait. Or run. Neither is safe. But if Kyle found us here, 2 people alone, no signal, in the middle of nowhere, could do anything. And no one would know." I opened the closet and pulled out my old service weapon. Glock 19. I hadn't fired it since I left the force. But my hands remembered. Muscle memory kicked in like it never left. Maya's eyes widened. "You were a cop?" "Yeah. Until 2 years ago." "What happened?" I hesitated. Then I said it. "My partner got killed." And I froze. She didn't speak. Just nodded slowly. 2 broken people. Alone in the snow. And 1 monster coming for both of us. We didn't have much time. I packed whatever I could into the truck, food, water, medical kit, extra blankets. Maya moved slower, still weak, but she helped. The plan was simple: drive back toward the main road, find signal, call for help. But nothing about this felt simple. I kept checking over my shoulder, scanning the tree line. Every shadow looked like a man. Every snap of a branch made me reach for the Glock. At one point, I caught Maya staring at the mountains behind us. "You okay?" I asked. She swallowed hard. I didn't think I'd ever leave this place alive. "You will," I said. "I promise." But promises are only words. And Kyle didn't believe in words. Only control. We made it 5 miles down the mountain before we saw it. A black SUV, parked sideways across the road. Locking the gas. No plates. Driver's door open. Empty. I hit the brakes. Heart pounding. Maya's face turned white. "That's his car," she whispered. I gripped the steering wheel so tight my elbows cracked. This wasn't a coincidence. He knew where we were going. He was waiting. "Back in the truck," I said. "But what if it?" "Now, Maya." I reversed fast, tires slipping, snow spitting out behind us. My eyes scanned the mirrors. Nothing. Not yet. We took a side path and An old service road I remembered from my first day up here, barely wide enough for the truck. Trees crowding in on both sides like closing hands. Maya held the dashboard, eyes wide, breath shallow. Then, crack, the back window shattered. I slammed the brakes. Gunfire. He was shooting at us. I grabbed my gun, shoved the door open, and yelled, "Stay down!" I ran around to the back of the truck. Snow soaked through my jeans instantly. My boots crunched loudly in the silence. Then I saw him, coming through the trees like a goddamn ghost. Beard crusted with frost. His white, rifle in his hand. He smiled when he saw me. "Where is she?" he shouted. I raised my block. Put the gun down. He laughed, sipped the cold water. "You think this is your movie,
the sun shines
hero?
upon us
She's
this day."
mine." I felt Maya behind me, peeking through the broken window. "She doesn't belong to you," I said. His eyes twitched. Then he raised the rifle. I fired. The shot echoed through the woods like thunder. One clean hit shoulder. He dropped the rifle and went down hard, yelling in pain.
Approach!
I rushed him, kicked the weapon away, and pinned him to the ground. He thrashed beneath me, blood already staining the snow. "You son of a..." "Shut up,"
these for the trail.
I barked. "It's over." But his eyes,
Girl!
they didn't look
Come
scared.
closer!
They looked amused. "You think this changes anything?" He spat. "She'll come back. She always does. They always come back." I pressed the muzzle to his forehead, just for a second, just to shut him up. His breath caught. His smirk faded. Good. I grabbed a pair of zip ties from my truck, bound his hands, and shoved him face down in the snow. Then I called Maya over. She stepped out slowly, eyes locked on him, her whole body trembling. "Maya," I said gently, "you don't have to." But she walked straight up to him, stopped a foot away, and spit in his face. We dragged him into the back of the truck, still zip-tied, still bleeding and cursing. I threw a blanket over the seat so he wouldn't bleed all over the upholstery. Not for his sake, but mine. Maya didn't say a word the whole ride back down, until she did. "I thought I loved him," she whispered. For a while, I actually believed it. I glanced
So,
at her. She wasn't
will you
crying.
open the gate for me
Not
now?
anymore. She looked free.
You
Abuse
heard her!
messes with
Open
your
the
head,
gates!
I said.
And send
It's
word to
not your
Captain
fault.
Balon!
She didn't
Where
answer.
you headed, girl?
But I saw her
West!
eyes.
To
And I knew she
Meridian!
heard me. We finally got signal 10 miles out. I called the local sheriff's office,
The way of
explained
Broken
everything.
Stones is a hard
They
run,
met us
even
in
the
town
best of
20
times.
minutes later.
You might want to have a
Kyle
word
didn't
with
say
Captain
a word
Balon.
as they cuffed
He
him
came
and
from
loaded
Meridian
him
not
into
long
the back
ago.
of a cruiser.
You'll find him in the
But
fort,
as the car
on a
pulled
balcony
away,
to
he
the
looked
left
right at
overlooking
Maya,
the valley.
like it wasn't
Okay.
over.
Thanks.
Like he was promising
We're the ones
something.
who should be thanking
She
you
saw it too.
for taking down
She
those
reached for
machines.
my hand.
Walking
And
light,
for a
Nora.
second, I let her hold it. We sat at a diner after giving our statements. I hadn't eaten in 18 hours. Neither had she. Over pancakes and bad coffee, we just sat. No storm, no running, no gunshots, just silence. Until Maya broke it. "What happens now?" she asked. I didn't have an answer, but I knew one thing for sure. Nothing would ever be the same. 3 days later, Kyle made bail. The sheriff called me personally. His voice was tight, apologetic. "We're keeping an eye on him, Adam, but you know how this works."
Yeah.
I knew
That's all there
exactly
is
how
in
it
new
worked.
plans.
People like Kyle, they slip through cracks.
I heard you talking
They
about
know how to
trouble in
lie,
new
twist
plans.
stories, make themselves
Was
the
that out
victim.
loud?
And in a town
Ears
this
must be getting
small,
worn
with the
down
right
from all
lawyer
those
and the
long
right
light
amount of
blasts.
charm, he
But
wouldn't stay
you
locked
heard right.
up long.
I'm fresh
Maya
back from the
stayed
cut,
at a motel
looking
on the
for
edge
better
of town.
scavenging
I
and
offered
better
my
shards.
place, but she
I
said
guess
no.
you didn't find them up
Said
there?
she needed space
Not
to
with the
think.
Banuk
I
wailing about new
understood,
machines
but I
and
still checked
talking
on her
spirits
every
and
day.
her purses
Brought her
frozen
food,
shut.
made sure she
What's
had
a trade
cash,
route without
sat
trade?
in silence
It's
when
just
she
a
didn't want to talk.
route.
She was trying to hold it together, but I could see it. Every time the door creaked,
What were these
she
new
flinched.
machines and
Every time a
spirits?
car drove
Honestly,
by,
I don't even know.
she peeked through the
Not
curtains.
really my style.
Kyle was
Well,
out,
if you reach
and
my
we both
grand
knew it was just a matter of time.
New machines?
That night,
Thought as much
I sat
just
in my
looking
truck
at you.
outside her motel
Don't
for
say
hours.
you weren't warned.
Just
There's
watching.
a slip of a trail
Couldn't
through the
sleep.
northeastern mountains.
Couldn't relax.
Past what we call
Something
the
was
Grave
wrong.
Horde.
At
You won't
2:17
miss it.
a.m., I saw it.
You'll
Maybe.
A dark figure moving past the edge of the lot. Slow, deliberate, heading toward her room. I grabbed my Glock and got out. no hesitation. My boots hit
Captain
gravel.
Ballon?
Nothing
I
good.
moved
Keep
fast,
to the road,
hugging the
Uncle Clem.
shadows. The figure stopped by her window, reached into his coat. Something
Is there
metal
anything more you can
glinted.
tell?
Son can
I
go,
was
but
10
by the
feet
pussy
away
was
when I
strict.
yelled, "Freeze!" He
gotta
turned.
get
It was
going.
him, Kyle.
Thanks for
He
the
bolted.
information.
One more.
We
I
chased
sensed
through the
something. Looks
alley
like the
behind the
last-
motel, slipping on ice, dodging trash cans. My lungs burned. He was fast, even with his shoulder still stiff from the bullet wound. He ducked behind a dumpster. I closed in, gun raised. "Don't move!" But he didn't come out. I crept around, slow, careful, then lunged. Empty. Gone. He'd vanished again, but not before dropping something. A folding knife and a photo of Maya, taken from the cabin. I brought it to her the next morning. Her face went pale. "He was here," I said. "Watching. Planning." She nodded slowly, then looked me dead in the eyes. "I'm done running." "Maya." "No," she cut in. "This ends now." There was no fear in her voice, only fire. And I realized something then. She wasn't the same woman I pulled out of the snow. She was becoming someone new, someone dangerous. She had that look in her eyes, the kind that comes after too many sleepless nights and too much pain. "I want to bait him," she said. I nearly dropped my coffee. "What?" "Let him come. On my terms. Somewhere we control." "Maya, that's insane." "So is him walking free while I live in fear." She leaned in. Her voice was calm, controlled, but her hands were shaking. "I know him. He won't stop until he has me, or kills me. So I'm done hiding. I want him to see me, and I want him to know this time he loses." She wasn't just surviving now. She was fighting, and whether I liked it or not, I was going to help her. We started planning that same afternoon. A trap, not to kill him unless we had to, but to catch him. On record, in the act. So the law couldn't just wipe their hands again. We picked a spot deep in the woods close to where I first found her. An old ranger outpost, long abandoned. One way in, one way out. I had an old friend still working in Denver PD, sent him a burner phone. He agreed to record everything through a hidden mic I'd set up on Maya. "If you get audio of him threatening her, confessing anything, we got him," my buddy said. We were setting the stage for a final showdown. One way or another. We spread the word through fake social media posts. Maya checking in at cafes, posting photos in obvious spots. She wasn't really there, of course, but Kyle would see it. He'd follow the trail, and he'd think she was finally alone again. We left the final clue, her scarf tied to a tree near the ranger outpost. The same one I passed the day I found her. Then we waited. It happened 2 nights later. I was in the loft of the outpost, tucked behind a curtain of brush, watching through binoculars. Maya sat inside, near the broken fireplace, just visible through the dirty window. She looked calm, poised, but I knew better. She was shaking inside. I watched the tree line like a hawk. Nothing. Then movement. A shadow. Kyle. He stepped into the clearing slowly. Hands empty. Face calm. But there was something behind his back. He was armed. He crept closer. Looked through the window. Smiled. And whispered, "Found you." My blood ran cold. I reached for the Glock. But this wasn't my move to make. Not yet. Maya stood up. Stepped into the doorway. Her voice didn't tremble. "Took you long enough?" He stared at her like she was prey. But she didn't flinch. "You're not going anywhere this time," she said. And then he lunged. He moved like a damn animal. Fast, silent, no hesitation. 1 second, he was 10 feet away. The next, he was inside. Maya screamed, stumbled back, knocking over the old chair. Kyle grabbed her by the wrist, yanked her forward. "You lied to me," he hissed. "You think you can just disappear? Make me look like the bad guy?" I bolted down the ladder. Heart hammering. Every second felt like a year. She was fighting him, kicking, twisting, but he was bigger, stronger. His hand clamped over her mouth. He shoved her into the wall. "You're coming with me, Maya." She shook her head violently. "You belong to me." I burst through the door. "Let her go." He spun around, startled. Maya dropped to the floor, coughing, gasping for air. Kyle's eyes landed on the gun in my hand, and he laughed. "Oh, look, hero cop to the rescue." "You're done," I said, keeping my aim steady. "You attacked her. It's all recorded." He glanced around, saw the mic clip to Maya's jacket. His jaw tightened. "You set me up." "No," Maya said hoarsely, wiping blood from her lip. I freed myself. Kyle looked between us. His eyes darted to the corner where the fireplace poker lay on the ground. I saw it too. "Don't," I warned. But he was already moving. He dove for the poker, grabbed it, swung. I fired. The shot rang out like lightning. Cal dropped to the ground screaming. Leg hit, non-lethal, intentional, but enough to stop him cold. He writhed, clutching his thigh, face twisted in agony. You think this is justice? He spat, glaring up at us. You think they'll believe you? I don't care what anyone believes anymore, Maya said, standing over him. I've got the truth, and I've got the proof. Sirens wailed in the distance. Sheriff's backup. I triggered the beacon from the second floor before coming down. It was over. Really, truly over. As they cuffed Kyle and hauled him into the snow, Maya stood beside me, staring into the dark woods. She looked different. Lighter. Alive. You okay? I asked. She didn't answer right away. Then she whispered, I am now. The wind howled through the trees. But this time, it didn't feel like a threat. It felt like freedom. And maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something new. For both of us. Kyle was officially charged with aggravated assault, stalking, and attempted kidnapping. They had the audio, the weapon, the injuries. This time, the system couldn't look away. But even behind bars, his presence lingered. Maya flinched at car doors, checked over her shoulder constantly, kept her motel curtains drawn like someone was still watching. I knew that feeling. I'd seen it in victims before. The fear doesn't end when they catch the guy. It ends when you take your life back. A week passed. Then, too, the trial was set for late spring. Maya agreed to testify. She was scared, but determined. Meanwhile, we saw each other more. Not like before. Not just me checking on her. She started asking questions. About me. About my past. What really happened with your partner, she asked one night as we walked through the snowy park downtown. I hesitated. Then I told her. It was a bus gone sideways. Drug raid in Denver. We were supposed to wait for backup, but my partner, Nate, got cocky. Said he saw one of the targets heading out the back. He went in. Alone. I was supposed to follow. But something felt off. I hesitated. Just for a second. That second cost him his life. I found him bleeding out on the floor. He looked at me and said, I told you not to wait. I still hear those words in my sleep. After that, I couldn't wear the badge anymore. I couldn't trust myself. Maya didn't say anything for a while. Then she said, you froze. Once. You were human. Someone died because I hesitated. And someone lived because you didn't this time. I looked at her. The woman I pulled from the snow. The one who should have died. The one who refused to stay broken. And I wondered if maybe, just maybe, we were both here to help each other heal. A few days later, she knocked on my door. Hair damp from the snow. Eyes bright. I can't sleep, she said. Neither can I. We sat in silence for a long time. The fire crackled. The storm outside was soft now. Almost gentle. She rested her head on my shoulder. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel haunted. I felt home. We didn't call it love. Not at first. It was quieter than that. Slower. Like two people remembering how to breathe again. She stayed with me some nights. Not because she needed protection anymore, she made that clear. She just didn't want to be alone. And neither did I. One night, we sat on the porch watching the snow fall. She was curled up in my flannel, hands around a mug of cocoa. I used to think silence was scary, she said. Now I think it's sacred. I nodded. I used to need noise to forget. Now I want the quiet to remember. She looked at me, eyes soft. You ever wonder why it had to happen like this? All the time. And? I shrugged. Still don't have an answer. But maybe we don't need one. Maybe the point wasn't why. Maybe the point is what we do next. But healing isn't a straight line. And the past doesn't disappear just because the present is peaceful. One night in March, she woke up screaming. I ran to her room. Found her sitting upright, drenched in sweat, shaking like a leaf. I saw him, she whispered. In the snow. Watching. Waiting. I sat beside her. Held her. Let her cry. Because healing means remembering. And remembering still hurts. The trial was 2 weeks away. She practiced her testimony with me every night. Sometimes her voice would break. Sometimes she'd freeze. But every time she started again. I'm not the same woman he tried to bury, she said. And I won't let him take any more of me. Damn right. She wasn't the same. And neither was I. Then, one evening, as we were walking by the river, she turned to me and asked, if this never happened, do you think we would have met? I looked at her. The scars. The strength. The fire that came from pain. I don't know, I said. But I think maybe we were meant to save each other. She smiled. And for the first time, it reached her eyes. The morning of the trial, the sky was overcast. Heavy clouds. That kind of gray that feels like something's holding its breath. Maya wore a black blazer, hair tied back. Simple. Strong. She looked in the mirror for a long time. "You ready?" I asked. She didn't say yes. She just nodded. That was enough. The courtroom was cold. Too clean. Too quiet. Kyle sat at the defense table, bandaged leg, smug expression. When Maya entered, he didn't even flinch. Just stared, like she was still his to watch. But she didn't look away. She met his gaze. Held it. And in that moment, she won. The prosecutor asked her to explain what happened that night. She told them everything. Her voice shook at first, then steadied. She described the storm, the snow, the panic, the pain, the way he dragged her back into the cabin years before, how she made excuses for the bruises, how she convinced herself it was love, how she almost died because she couldn't accept the truth. Hal's lawyer tried to twist it, blamed miscommunication, stress, a misunderstanding turned tragic. Typical. Then they brought up me. How long after leaving Kyle did you begin staying with Mr. Adam Walker? Objection. Sustained. Still, they wanted to paint her as impulsive, unstable, manipulative. But she didn't break. Not once. During the break, she leaned on the hallway wall and whispered, "I feel like I'm shaking on the inside." I took her hand. "Shaking means you're still standing." She smiled, tired but fierce. "I want to finish this." And she did. In closing statements, the prosecutor played the audio from the ranger outpost. Kyle's voice, "You're mine." Maya's voice, "You don't own me." Then the shot, the scream, the crash. The jury went still. I saw one woman wipe a tear from her cheek. That was it. The truth was undeniable now. And so was Maya. The verdict came 2 days later. Guilty on all counts. Kyle didn't speak, just stared ahead. Maya exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for years. It was done. He was gone. And for the first time in forever. She was free. After the trial, we drove into the mountains. Not to escape, to reclaim them. Same roads, same trees, same silence. But everything felt different now. She didn't flinch when the wind howled. She didn't scan the woods like she expected a ghost. She just breathed. We stopped near the place where I first heard her scream. The snow was thinner now, melting into patches of wet ground. "I almost died right here," she said, staring into the trees. "But you didn't," I said. "No, you pulled me out." But more than that, she paused. "You believed me." That hit harder than I expected, because I knew what it meant. She'd been doubted before, ignored, dismissed, but not this time. Not by me. We sat on a fallen log for a long time, watching the trees sway. "I used to think survival was the end of the story," she whispered. "But it's not. It's the beginning," I said. She turned to me, eyes filled with something I hadn't seen in her before. Not just strength, peace. "You saved me, Adam. And I think I might have saved you too." I nodded. "You did. We didn't say, 'I love you.' Not then. We didn't need to." The silence between us said it all. No fear. No walls. Just truth. And two people who refused to let their pasts define them. Back at the cabin, we lit the fireplace. Same spot where she'd once fought to stay alive. Now she sat beside me, legs tucked under her, a blanket wrapped around us both. "I want to stay for a while," she said softly. "You're always welcome." "No, I mean really stay." I turned to her. "You sure?" She nodded. "I don't want to run anymore. I want to build something. Even if it's slow. Even if it's hard." I smiled. "Then let's build." Spring came fast in the Rockies. The snow melted. The rivers ran faster. Trees turned from skeletons to soft, green giants. Maya planted flowers in pots outside the cabin. At night, we sat on the porch and watched the stars like they were new. And maybe they were. Because for the first time in our broken, complicated lives, things felt whole. She started painting again. Said she used to love it before Kyle convinced her it was a waste of time. Now every canvas felt like rebellion. Every brushstroke a middle finger to everything that tried to break her. She painted the mountains, the fire, the truck. One day she painted me. I laughed. "You made me look 10 years younger." She grinned. "That's how I see you." I picked up carpentry again. Built her a little studio beside the cabin. Just enough space for an easel and some sunlight. She cried when she saw it. Not loud, sobbing tears. Just quiet ones. The kind that say thank you for making me feel like I matter. And I think that was the moment I knew. I loved her. Not because she was perfect, but because she wasn't. She was real. Then one afternoon, while stacking firewood, I found her sitting on the porch steps, staring at her phone. Face pale. "Maya?" She didn't answer. Just handed me the screen. It was a text. From a blocked number. "You think it's over? You think I can't reach you?" My blood turned to ice. Kyle was in prison. He had no phone access. So how the hell? Unless someone was helping him. I called the sheriff, told him everything. He promised to look into it. Said it could have been a sick prank. But Maya knew. And so did I. Kyle still had reach. And someone on the outside was keeping the nightmare alive. That night, we didn't sleep. Maya sat curled against me, fingers clenched around my shirt. I don't want to live scared, she whispered. Then we won't, I said. But we'll live smart. Because sometimes the past doesn't let go. Sometimes you have to make it. The sheriff traced the number. Burner phone. Bought in Denver. Paid in cash. No fingerprints, no cameras. But the message had a tone. A voice. And Maya recognized it. Kyle had a cousin, Ben. A drifter. In and out of jail. No fixed address. No real job. But loyal to Kyle like a damn dog. Always did the dirty work. If anyone was behind the message, it was him. And just like that, we were back in the nightmare. We set up cameras. One facing the front road. One covering the woods behind the cabin. I didn't tell Maya, but I also bought another gun. Kept it by the bed. Just in case. Because if this was going to end, I needed to be ready. For anything. A week passed. Nothing happened. Then, too, Maya started to relax again. She painted more. Laughed more. One night, we danced in the kitchen. No music. Just her humming some tune from her childhood. I spun her around. She tripped, laughing, fell into my chest. I never thought I'd have this again, she said. You do now. But peace is a tricky thing. It makes you forget the shadows. Until they show up again. It was a Thursday. Late April. I came home from a grocery run and found the back door open. Just a crack. Maya? I called. No answer. I pulled the Glock from my waistband. Entered slow. Quiet. The studio was untouched. The kitchen, fine. Then I saw it. A single footprint. Wet. Muddy. Inside the hallway. Too big to be hers.
Might regret this.
My chest tightened. I called her name again. Still nothing. Then movement. From the bathroom. I raised the gun, heart pounding, every nerve on fire. The door creaked. And Maya stepped out. Jesus, I gasped, lowering the gun. You scared the hell out of me. She looked confused. I was just taking a bath. Why? I pointed at the door. At the print. Her eyes widened. And just like that, every bit of safety we'd rebuilt shattered. Someone had been inside. While she bathed. And they hadn't taken a thing. They just watched. She couldn't stop shaking. We checked every corner of the cabin. Every drawer, every closet. Nothing was missing. But that wasn't the point. Whoever it was didn't come to steal. They came to send a message. You're not safe. I can still get close. And they did. While she was naked. Vulnerable. I wanted to scream. Break something. Hunt whoever did it and make them feel what she felt. But I couldn't lose control. Not now. We called the sheriff. Again. They dusted for prints. Found nothing. Same size boot as the tracks near the motel months ago. Same make. Could be Ben, the deputy said. But we can't prove it. Of course they couldn't.
Come on.
The law was always 2 steps behind. But I wasn't. That night, I barely slept. Maya curled up beside me, eyes wide open. Every creak in the wood made her flinch. We both knew this wasn't going to stop. Not until we stopped him. And if that meant breaking the rules. So be it. The next morning, I made a call. Derek Martin. Ex-Fed. Private now. Owed me a favor from a case years back. You still got eyes in Denver? I asked. Always, he said. I need someone tracked. Quietly. I gave him Ben's name. 2 hours later, he called me back. Your guy's been spotted twice near the foothills. Bought gas with cash. No car registration. Sleeping in his truck. Then he paused. Adam, he's carrying. What do you mean? I mean your guy's got a sawed-off and a knife, and I don't think he's out there birdwatching. I didn't tell Maya right away. She was already looking over her shoulder again, drawing the curtains tighter, locking the doors twice. I couldn't make her feel hunted all over again. Not until I had a plan. So I made one. That night, I drove 2 hours down the mountain, parked near an old ranger station that had turned into a gas stop, and waited. At 1:42 a.m., a red pickup rolled in. Rusty. Loud muffler. Colorado plates. Ben. He got out, filled his tank, paid cash. Didn't see me, but I saw what I needed. The gun on the passenger seat. The hoodie he wore, same brand we saw in the security footage from Kyle's trial. It was him. And I knew now without a doubt. He wasn't just watching. He was waiting for the right moment to finish what Kyle couldn't. I followed him. No lights. No sound. Just my truck trailing his through back roads and pine-covered turns. He didn't know. But I did. He drove 20 miles out, turned down a gravel path, and parked behind an old hunting shack. Barely a structure. Rusted roof. Covered in tarps and beer cans. I watched from the tree line, heart pounding. He stepped out of the truck, stretched, lit a cigarette. Then pulled out a phone. Burner. I raised my camera. Zoomed in. Snapped photos. Then I heard it. His voice. Clear. Sharp. She's still up there. Alone most days. He leaves early. We wait till she's by herself. Get her. Send the message. Pause. A voice on the other end. Distorted. Familiar. My stomach turned. Kyle? Even in prison, he was orchestrating this. I wanted to storm that shack right then and there. Put Ben on the ground. But I held it. Because this wasn't just about justice anymore. This was about ending it. I sent the audio and photos to Derek. His reply came fast. That's enough. I can get this in front of a judge within 24 hours. But that was 24 hours too long. I knew Ben. I knew his type. He wasn't going to wait for permission. He was going to move soon. I drove back fast. Told Maya everything. She didn't cry. She didn't panic. She stood there, face pale, but her voice was steady. Then we stopped running, she said. We end this. I nodded. Together, we packed a bag. Not to leave, but to bait. Made it look like Maya was going to Denver alone. Dropped the info where we knew Ben would find it. He'd take the bait. He'd follow her. What he didn't know, what he couldn't know, was that I'd be 10 feet behind. And this time, he wasn't walking away. She got in the truck at dawn. Drove slow. Let him catch up. By the time she hit the canyon road, I saw his pickup creeping up from behind. Too far for her to see, but not for me. I radioed her. He's on you. Stay calm. I'm ready. I don't know how she stayed so steady, but she did. We pulled into the overlook lot. Empty. High cliffs. No exits. Perfect. Maya got out. Left the driver door open. Walked slowly toward the edge. Ben pulled in 2 minutes later. Came out fast. Gun in hand. No hesitation. Maya. He called calm. Like it was a damn reunion. She didn't turn. She just said, "It's over, Ben." Then I stepped out from behind the boulder. Gun raised. And this time I didn't hesitate. "Drop it, Ben." I shouted, voice echoing off the cliffs. He froze, then turned. Saw the Glock. Smiled. "You again," he sneered. "You gonna shoot me too, hero?" "If I have to." His eyes flipped to Maya, then back to me. "You think she's worth it?" "No." "You think she's clean?" "You don't know what she..." "Shut up," I snapped. And I meant it, because I'd seen who Maya was. Not what she'd been through, but who she chose to be despite it. Ben didn't get to speak her name. He started moving sideways, slow, trying to angle toward the truck, toward cover. I moved too, kept him square in the sights. "Don't," I warned. He laughed again, that cold, cocky chuckle like he was in control. "You won't pull the trigger. Guys like you never do." The bullet hit the dirt by his foot. He jumped back, smiling. Gun still in hand. I stepped closer. "This is the last time I'm gonna ask. Drop it. Now." He looked at Maya, then at the cliff behind her, and something shifted in his eyes. Something unhinged, like he didn't come here to scare her. He came here to finish it. For Kyle. Or for himself. He lunged. Toward her. Gun raised. I didn't think. I fired. The shot hit him in the side. He stumbled, twisted midair, then slammed into the dirt. His gun skidded across the rocks and flew over the edge. He groaned, clutched his ribs. Alive, barely, but it was over. Maya stood frozen. I ran to her, grabbed her shoulders. "You okay?" She nodded, eyes wide, body stiff, but her voice didn't shake. "I'm okay," she whispered, and this time I believed her. Backup arrived 15 minutes later. Derek showed up too, flashing credentials and talking fast. Ben was cuffed, loaded into an ambulance, then straight to federal custody. Kyle's messages, the recorded phone call, the attack. All of it tied together in a perfect chain. And the chain finally broke. That night, Maya and I stood by the cliff. Same spot where it almost ended. The stars came out one by one, like tiny promises. "Do you regret it?" I asked. She shook her head. "No, because I didn't run. Not this time." She looked at me, and neither did you. Life didn't go back to normal, because normal wasn't the goal anymore. The goal was new. New routines, new boundaries, new peace. Maya didn't just survive the storm. She rebuilt herself from the wreckage. And I did too. We both learned that healing wasn't soft. It wasn't candles and deep breaths. It was messy, loud, sharp, but it was real. Ben was charged federally with conspiracy, attempted assault, unlawful possession of firearms, and violating multiple protective orders. He was done. Kyle, still behind bars, was slapped with additional charges for orchestrating violence from inside. The judge didn't hesitate. Maximum sentence. When we heard the verdict, Maya didn't cry. She just whispered, "It's over." And I knew that she didn't mean the trial. She meant the weight, the shadow, the hole, finally broken. We didn't talk about the future for a while. We didn't need to. It unfolded slowly. In the way she leaned into me while brushing her teeth. In the way I memorized the sound of her laugh and built my mornings around it. She painted more. I built her frames. We started hiking together, reclaiming every trail that once scared her. She wasn't the same woman I found buried in the snow. She was more, braver, wilder, free. One morning, I woke up to the smell of coffee and pancakes. She stood in the kitchen wearing my old hoodie, barefoot, glowing. And just like that, I knew this wasn't just survival. This was home. I walked up behind her, wrapped my arms around her waist, and whispered, "You know what I think?" "What?" she said, smiling. "I think we make a pretty damn good team." She turned, rested her forehead against mine. "We don't just survive," she said. "We win." And she was right. We did. Together. A year later, Maya had her first gallery show. Small town, local crowd, but the place was packed. Her paintings lined the walls. Bold strokes, sharp contrasts, colors that bled into each other like an ocean on fire. There was one that stopped everyone in their tracks. A snowstorm, faint outline of a woman half buried. A shadow of a man digging through the white. His face hidden. Title, "The Day I Lived Again." People asked who the man was. She just smiled and said, "Someone who listened." I stood in the back watching her work the room. Confident, radiant, unshaken. Strangers came up to her with tears in their eyes. Women, men, people who'd been through hell of their own. She didn't give speeches. She didn't need to. Her story was written in every color on those canvases. And in the lines around her eyes that had once been fear, but were now strength. Afterward, we drove home with the windows down. Music low, her feet on the dash. "This feel real to you?" she asked. I looked at her. More real than anything ever had. She reached over, laced her fingers with mine. And for a while, we just were. No past, no fear. Just two people who found each other in a storm. People always ask me how we survived. And I tell them the truth. We didn't just survive. We chose each other, every day, in every fear, in every scar. Because sometimes, in the middle of the coldest, darkest night, you hear a voice, and you follow it, not knowing who it is, not knowing why, just knowing that if you don't, someone will die. But if you do, you might just find the reason you were broken in the first place.